Langston Golf Course was named after abolitionist, diplomat, educator, and politician John Mercer Langston. At the June 8th Langston Heritage Celebration, Dr. Judith King-Kelneck, a humanities professor at United Nations International School and relative of John Mercer Langston, joined us to share her stories that have been passed down through their family and that she has researched over the past decades. John Mercer Langston had a lot of firsts in his lifetime. He helped to create and was the first dean of the law school at Howard University. He was the first president of Virginia State University, and he was the first colored Virginia representative in U.S. Congress. John Mercer Langston helped runaway slaves to escape to the north along the Ohio part of the Underground Railroad, and in 1877 became the U.S. Minister to Haiti. He died in 1897 at the age of 67 in Washington, D.C.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's Make Some Noise, a poem written by Valeda Fluellen expressly for the National Black Golf Hall of Fame.
Forbidden fairways, uneven lies, making noise about things we despise, sending the message, just let us play, words of black golfers, paving the way. Make some noise about things unfair until bigotry and prejudice are no longer there. Electrify, inspire, and promote, echo words these authors wrote. Pete McDaniel, Charlie Sifford, Dr. Michael Johnson, Dr. Calvin Sinnett. Pen tales of golfers we must not forget. The golfers of Langston Golf Course, the ladies of Wake Robin Club made some noise, refused to be snubbed, pushing doors open, forging the way for the son of Earl Woods to be a champion one day. Now you make some noise by adding your name to those who support the National Black Golf Hall of Fame.
Dr. Calvin Sinnett, author of Forbidden Fairways and longtime friend of Langston, is a 2011 inductee of the National Black Golf Hall of Fame. His story of the history of Langston's opening is inspirational and includes many notable Washingtonians. When blacks returned home from World War I, they expected to be treated equally after serving their country, but upon their return, the opposite occurred. In 1919, there were more than 20 race riots, and African Americans were faced with a monumental task which required patience, determination, and a true sense of racial dynamics. Their progress was agonizingly slow, but they were determined for equal rights, which included a sufficient place for them to play golf. The Royal and Wake Robin golf clubs pursued the federal government for construction of a new golf course, which was opened in 1939. Edgar Brown was the master of ceremonies for opening day, and the first tee-off was shot by golfer Clyde Martin. Langston overcame many obstacles during its opening, but the challenges didn't cease once the course was opened. In the beginning years, there was a fire at the course, burning down one of their sheds. There was a plane crash at the course, which thankfully resulted in 0 deaths, and there was also a challenge of what to do about the Canadian geese that lived and used the golf course land as their home. In 1991, Langston was added to the National Registry of Historic Places, and Langston remains a treasured beacon of black golf history. It was a venue for 5 national tournaments held by the United Golfers Association, and is the only course in the city with water hazards. Dr. Calvin Sinnett is very confident that Langston will one day become a venue that can host a PGA event, and that its success will pay tribute to the many loyal supporters that labored over the years to preserve and enhance this national treasure. Dr. Calvin Sinnett was presented with the painting titled Dawn of Greatness in November 2009 by the Professional Golfers Association of America, in recognition of his efforts to obtain posthumous PGA membership for renowned African-American golfer William Spiller Sr. In 1948, Spiller and Theodore Rhodes applied for PGA membership, but the organization failed to act on their applications. 50 years later, Dr. Sinnett appealed to the PGA to grant posthumous membership to Spiller. Slightly more than a decade passed before the PGA Board of Directors took action to correct the injustice. In 2009, the organization bestowed posthumous membership not only to Spiller, but also to Ted Rose and John Shipper, the first American-born golf professional. At the same time, honorary PGA membership was bestowed on former world heavyweight boxing champion and avid golfer Joe Louis. To further commemorate its 2009 decision, the PGA commissioned the African-American painter Kevin Williams to produce an appropriate artistic rendition of the four honorees. Dawn of Greatness pays tribute to the four African Americans whose contributions to the game of golf were overlooked for far too long. Dr. Calvin Sinnett has kindly donated this painting to be on display in the Langston Golf Course Clubhouse. Pete McDaniel, author of Uneven Lies, is a member of the African American Golfer Hall of Fame and the National Black Golf Hall of Fame. He is a senior writer at Golf Digest and Golf World magazine, best known for writing collaboratively with Tiger Woods. Pete McDaniel, however, believes his claim to fame is actually his time as caddy for James Black. McDaniel tells the story of when he was Black's caddy for 2 years as a young man. He remembers when James Black was going for his second straight win at the Skyview Open against Charlie Owens. Black leaned over and told McDaniel that he was about to do his devil swing, and much to McDaniel's surprise, the devil swing went up and over the trees on the fairway, made a sharp turn in the air, and bounced on the green close to the hole. James Black won that year and the next year, resulting in 3 wins in a row. Pete McDaniel continues by addressing the rough times that African American golfers went through during that time period, including not having enough money to stay in adequate hotels while on tour, and not having enough money to have sufficient meals while playing. Dr. Jeffrey Sammons serves as an advisor on historical and diversity matters to the PGA of America. He is a member of the Museum Committee of the USGA and the USGA PGA Archive Working Group. Dr. Sammons shares stories about Joe Louis, who was the heavyweight champion of the world from 1937 to 1949. He is seen as the most influential person in the promotion and support of black golf. Many believe Joe Louis's obsession with golf may have ultimately hurt his boxing career, as he often skipped boxing practice in order to golf. Clyde Martin became Joe Louis's instructor and helped him to improve his game to the point where he could play in tournaments. His first tournament at Langston brought between 2,000 and 3,000 spectators, which resulted in great marketing for Langston, as 60% of the spectators hadn't known that Langston existed before that. Eventually, Joe Louis was sponsoring black pros that wanted to play golf, and without him wouldn't have had the means to play, and he was hosting his own tournaments. He was also known to wager large sums of money against pros on the golf course. Thanks to people like Joe Louis, African American golf was becoming more and more popular in the 1950s. Susan Rosser of the USGA Museum took a large part in the USGA's exhibit entitled American Champions and Barrier Breakers, which showcased African American sports icons including Jackie Robinson, Althea Gibson, and Joe Louis, all of whom have golfed at Langston Golf Course. The USGA Museum's next exhibit seeks to celebrate the life and accomplishments of William Powell and others, their achievements in the creation of golf clubs, courses, and their important legacies to the African American society. The men and women who designed, built, and ran these golf courses, along with many of their contemporaries, overcame numerous challenges on their way to realizing equality on the green. The exhibit, presented by the USGA Museum and Arnold Palmer Center for Golf History, will feature artifacts, photographs, and video of Clearview Golf Course, Langston Golf Course, Shady Rest Golf Course, Apex Golf Course, Wake Robin Golf Club, and the Royal Golf Club. The exhibit will open in February 2014.